The Romans had a practical attitude to religion as to most things, which perhaps explains why they themselves had difficulty in taking to the idea of a single, all-seeing, all-powerful God. Insofar as the Romans had a religion of their own, it was not based on any central belief, but on a mixture of fragmented rituals, taboos, superstitions, and traditions that they collected over the years from a number of sources. Ancient Roman religion was polytheistic, the belief in more than one god. To the Romans, religion was the belief that mankind is linked up to the gods. The result of such religious attitudes were two things: a state cult, the significant influence on political and military events which outlasted the Republic, and a private concern, in which the head of the family oversaw the domestic rituals and prayers in the same way as the representatives of the people performed the Republic's ceremonials. However, people's views changed as the world changed. The ancient Roman Empire was vast, encompassing a number of different nations. The Roman Empire at its height reached from North Africa to Gaul, France, and Britain. The ancient Roman world was ruled and governed by an emperor and council of elected officials. These leaders oversaw the facets of Roman life, from currency, taxation, to food supply, and religious instruction and ceremony. The center of this empire was the capital city, Rome. Rome was the most important functioning city, as it was home of both religion and politics. The Roman Forum Romanum was the hub of social, political, and religious life. The Roman Forum was positioned behind the Circus Maximus, an ancient raceway, and at the base of Palatine Hill, where the emperor lived. The Forum contained the courts, the markets, the House of the Vestal Virgins, and the Temple of Venus. Various emperors over the years opened new temples to new gods and goddesses in the Forum. The Colosseum is an icon also of the ancient Roman world. It functioned as a place of human and animal sacrifice. Gladiators would battle in the arena for glory and for public recognition. Worship practice varied amongst people within the Roman Empire. This is due to the vast nature of the peoples within the empire. Within Rome itself, a typical worship practice was the sacrifice of a bull in a purpose-built archway. The gender of the sacrificial animal had to correspond to the gender of the deity to whom it was offered. White animals were sacrificed to gods of the upper world, whereas black victims to the deities of the underworld. A bull or an ox was the most common animal selected for the sacrifice. Jupiter. He was the master of the gods, and the main god of the Romans. In his hand he held thunderbolts, which he could hurl from the sky. Mars. He was the god of war, the strongest and fearsome god, except for Jupiter. Vesta. She was the goddess of hearth and home. She was very important to the Romans. In her temple, a flame was always kept burning, as in the hearth of Rome. The flame should never go out. Mercury. He was the messenger of the gods. The wings on his helmet and sandals allowed him to travel very quickly to wherever a god might send him. He was the god of travelers and tradesmen. Prayer was almost invariably accompanied by some form of offering or sacrifice. This did not necessarily involve the ritual slaughter of an animal, as long as the offering represented life in some form. It could be a millet, cakes made from ears of corn which had been picked a month earlier, fruit, cheese, bowls of wine, or pails of milk. In domestic sacrifices, the preparation is easier. The sacrifice takes place in front of a lelarium, usually placed near or above an hearth or fireplace. If it is a blood sacrifice, it can be made on a lelarium or on a fireplace prepared on purpose outside the house.
The founding of Rome is the most important and sacred story to ancient Roman religion. The story of Rome began when a woman named Rhea married the Roman god Mars, the god of war. Rhea then had twins and named them Romulus and Remus. But when the gods had heard about this, they were angry and thought of ways to hurt Mars. To protect both Romulus and Remus, Rhea put them in a boat and sent them down a river. The boys were then found by a she-wolf, and it had protected the two little boys like they were her own. They were then found by a farmer and his wife, who adopted them. As the twins grew older, they decided they did not want to take care of sheep. They wanted to be kings. They decided to build a city on the shores of the Tiber. They had both wanted to be the only king. They quarreled. In a fit of rage, Romulus picked up a rock, killed his brother, and made himself king of Rome.
No one ever said it would be this hard. Oh, take me back to the start.